Hello and thank you for logging into my channel. My name is Sharon Kavio and I'm a music producer. Today I would like to focus on a topic which is very important, and it is listening skills or active listening skills as a producer. A normal person, or before you develop listening skills, when you listen to music or sound, you describe it on an overall level. Like, for example, someone who doesn't have listening skills or active listening skills, when they listen to a certain sound or music, they will say either, oh, it's really nice, or oh, it is a sad song, or it is a happy song, something of the sort. That's an overall listening skill. But as a producer, the more you progress with your skill, you're able to dissect your sound to micro or macro level. When you have listening skill, you're able to develop the ability to identify different tones, dynamic, rhythms, and textures of a sound, and also go as far as being able to place certain sound in a certain environment just by having those skills. I will divide this topic in different topics like musical skills, instrument skills, technical skills, environment skills, and then go to my conclusion. When it comes to musical skills, I group this in terms of maybe musical theory. When you have musical skills, you're able to understand how different chords work with each other, different chord progression, how different notes interact with each other. And when you're having music structure, you're able to know where to place this chord and how it's going to affect the movement of that song, or how it's going to affect the overall outcome of the song. You're able to know which sound works with which one, which rhythm works with which other rhythm. And that comes with practice. When it comes to instrumentation, of course, you cannot be able to play every instrument. Some people can, but it's very important to understand, different elements. Like, for example, a guitar. When you're writing a certain piece, you're able to immediately understand if that piece requires an acoustic guitar. Where is that guitar? Do you want an ambient environment? Do you want a dead environment? Or do you want an electric guitar? And if it's an electric guitar, what type of electric guitar? Do you want it with DI? Do you want it amped? And if it's amped, what type of amp is suitable? What sound is there? Do you want it muted? Do you want not muted? So many aspects when you understand each instrument, and you don't have to really know how to play the instrument, but you need to understand the soundscape. Like, for example, when you're working with drum kits, different genres, when you're working with maybe rock, you need to also have an understanding. A rock drum kit is mic'd totally different from an acoustic drum kit. When I put it in this environment, how is it gonna sound? When I mute maybe the snare, how is it gonna sound? When you want such a sounding kick drum, what you need to do for it to sound like that, how far the microphone is supposed to be, how near, and that comes out of listening and practice. And then let's go to technical terms. This is diverse, and this is where maybe many modern producers come into, because as modern producers, we focus a lot on the electrical element of it, where we work in the box and we play with different effects and different processing. But then, do you know what is the purpose of an EQ, and what is the role of an EQ in a sound? So when you listen to a sound, are you able to identify how the EQ has been used to sculpt a certain sound? Are you able to identify, to feel maybe this sound is lacking if I apply this EQ, and if I do maybe a high pass or a bell, how is it going to affect the sound? So for you to be able to know that, you need to be able to study the EQ in depth, the back end of an EQ, to understand, different EQs, how do they affect the sound? The same way as a compression. Compressor is very important in a sound, is highly used. But how does it work? How are you able to hear compressor? When you're listening to a sound, can you hear compressor? And hearing compressor, what are you hearing? What are you looking to hear? And if you cannot hear, what are you able to apply in a compressor? And the only way you're able to know that is by studying a compressor. There are so many types of compressors, so many dials, so many elements, so many aspects of a compressor. But until you learn all that is when you're able to hear. hear so many factors or so many characteristics of a compressor. When it comes to time-based effects like reverb and delay, the same thing applies. There is no shortcut. You really need to learn reverbs, how they react on different instruments, different types of reverb. Maybe there's convolution reverb, or there is programmed reverb. When you want to apply reverb on a guitar, what type of reverb do you want to put there? What reacts well? Why do many people use spring reverb on a guitar than a room reverb? There must be a reason. So, and when you're listening to music, can you be able to know what type of reverb they've put on different instruments? Once you learn all these elements in isolation, then when you're listening to a cohesive whole, you're able to really dissect and divide them. Okay? And then now, when it comes to environment, how are you able to hear these sounds? Different rooms, the acoustic treatment, the acoustic of a room is very important. This is what makes you be able to determine what you're hearing. And also the sound in the song, or the sound you're listening to, the elements of the sound, for example, they are brought up by the environment that they were recorded in. When you know how different environments affects the interaction of a sound, and this is very big when it comes to reverb. If you play a guitar on an open field, it will sound totally different for when you play it in a very closed, dead environment, or when you play it in the bathroom or in a church hall. And also when you mic a certain instrument in a certain environment, everything plays a role on how that sound is going to be perceived. So I've spoken about all these things because that is what my experience has been. Before I learned how to listen to a sound, I didn't even know what that is. The reason why this skill became very important to me is when I started learning production, my lecturer played for us a song and asked the class to describe the sound. And I was the first one to lift my hand. I was so excited. I said that the song sounded really nice. It's a happy song. And he said, yeah, that's true. But I just want you to tell me what you hear in the sound. Some of my classmates knew exactly what he was asking. They were able to dissect the sound. Like one of them said, the drum is highly compressed. I didn't know what compression is. And the other one said, it sounds muddy. And that's when the topic opened. Why is it sounding muddy? It's because, the guitar and the vocals are fighting on the middle spectrum. And to me, I didn't know what they were talking about. It was Greek to me. But I absorbed all those things, and I made a decision to really learn a lot of things. And I realized sound is very complex, that once you understand every element of a sound, and if you chip through how each and every element affects a sound, then your hearing perception or your listening skills really improve. The advantages of developing really critical listening skills is you're able to accelerate your production work, and the quality of your work is highly improved. And also you become profitable because your output is of high quality, and you're able to communicate with different artists, and you're able to bring the artist vision to life quicker, and maybe even better than the artists had perceived. So it's very important for you to work on your listening skills. It takes time, but you need to actively practice every day. When you practice today, maybe today you decide, I'm going to practice how to EQ. I need to learn different types of EQ. By next week, you'll find that when you listen to a song, you hear so many things that you were not able to hear or perceive before you learned that skills. So in conclusion, being able to have active listening skills entails you learning different aspects of a sound. Then you bring them together little by little, and that culminates and gives you the bigger picture. Thank you, and I hope this topic has helped you to open up your mind, and kindly subscribe to my channel and share. I'm going to post different topics which I feel are helpful to me, and I feel like if I share, they're going to help you. Thank you a lot again for logging to my channel, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.